It's been a hot summer, and sometimes it's a challenge to keep those vans cool inside. Well, one of the things that I have done is to make a shade for the side windows. Yes, you can use these things that pop up. They tear, like this one's torn. They can be a little frustrating. They have little suction cups that stay on. And of course, they're never the right size. So I thought I'd share a sewing project on making a full screen window shade. Of course, I don't want you to violate any of your tinting laws in your state, so make sure you understand those before you put these on your front windows. I will put a list of all the materials I used in the description box below. The patterning material I used was from a previous project, but it is called Durascrim, and I purchased it from Sailrite. It is tear resistant and it is reinforced with polyethylene ribbon to help keep its shape. But for a small project like this, you could use a piece of plastic sheeting. I traced around the door with a black marker. Over the past year, I've made several of these shades and have been working on perfecting the process to make it easier for you. But I welcome any ideas or suggestions you may have. These threads that run through here are really hard to cut through, so you need some really sharp scissors. When you trace the template, be sure you also mark the areas that have exposed metal. The template needs to be just a little bit larger than the traced area. So I wanted to trace it onto a piece of paper and add a seam allowance and a little extra ease so that the magnets would be sure to hit their intended targets. I found wrapping paper to be a great option. Okay, I'm going to use a marker so you can see what I'm doing. Now I want to transfer the parts that have metal exposed where I know I want magnets to go. So that would be this area along here. So I'm going to put probably 2 magnets there. And then this area right here, put 1 magnet. And then down here on this area, I'll put 2 more magnets. I don't need a seam allowance down here because I've already added a couple of inches. Okay, so there's my pattern. I think I've got everything. Okay, I think I found a scrap that will be large enough. I can make it work. I'm going to actually cut out 2 of these, not because I'm making 2, but because I need this like a 1.5 or 1 inch or so trim piece around the outside that will capture the magnets. So basically I need to create an edging that I can put these magnets into. So I think this scrap is going to work. Even though it looks like it's too short down here, this doesn't need to be this long. It really only needs to go to here. I'm going with this. And the best way to cut out this fabric I have found is to use a rotary cutter. And I can see the line underneath here. You probably can't, but I'm going for it. Okay. This is the piece that I'm going to cut maybe 3 inches away and then fold over the edge before I sew it onto the full screen. Here goes. And now I'm going to fold this under, maybe 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 inch, somewhere in there, so that I don't have a raw edge. You want to make sure that you have this facing the right direction. This is the raw edge here, so it is facing the other panel. And that way, when I sew it here and flip it over, the raw edge will be underneath. I'm going to sew about a 3/8 inch seam allowance. That's done, and now I need to turn this right side out. And once I get it finger pressed, which means you just use your fingers to get a nice edge there, I'm going to top stitch right as close to the edge as I can. So now that looks pretty neat, and that will hold it nice and flat. And that next step is to insert the magnets. When it comes to magnets, you just want to make sure that they are neodymium magnets. And I have collected some from around the house from various projects, and I have 3 styles that I'm going to use because I don't necessarily have the right ones for this application. I have these bar magnets, which you definitely want to have. I have these little round dot ones, and then I have a third one. This is probably the strongest one I have, and usually you put a screw through there. So I'm going to use this one in that one little weird V-shaped area. Use one of these on the lower part where I have more metal to hook to, and then the bar magnets are going to go at various spots. And let's get going on those. And the problem with neodymium magnets is that they stick to the sewing machine. You want to get all the sewing done that you can before you slip them in. So this is the way I do it. So I know I want to put one in here, so I'm going to create a little box around it. Now I'm going to slip in the magnet. There we go. And then I'm actually going to sew backwards. And oops. You've got to kind of use your hands to make it move, otherwise it'll just stay there. And then you just do that all the way around. Now let's take it out to the van and do a test fit. Okay, that's going to work. Now I just need to finish off the bottom. To finish off the raw edge on the bottom, because I have it on hand, I'm going to go ahead and use this 1-inch seam binding and finish that edge. Wasn't so bad with the magnets because I kept the magnet lifted as I went under the presser foot. Here is the final fit. One goes there, goes there, that goes there, and that goes there. And there we go. I want to mention one other thing that we did have done early on to our van, and that was to have a clear tent put on. It's a tent, it's really not a tent, it's clear. And it removes probably 99% of the UV rays, so that helps a lot. The only issue with that is that it can create kind of a rainbow effect if you're wearing polarized sunglasses. So what I did was go out and buy a pair of sunglasses that were non-polarized, just like the pilots use, because if pilots are wearing polarized glasses in the cockpit, they can't see the dials on their instrument panel. I hope you've enjoyed this project this week. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Oh my gosh, how fascinating. These lambs were born
February of 38.
Yeah. Wow. Oh. Wonder if Sandy Brock has ever seen these.